to kind of go through it relatively quickly. Um, the only real issue was the money situation, but I was able to sell off some herbs, and I did my I loaded my clear data. For those who remember, when you beat the game and you do your clear data, you can start at either Bailu Village or Niawu, and I chose to be in Niawu, so I had I think they take away all your money, or most of it. Either that or I didn't have that much money at the end to begin with. But you get to keep your martial arts level and all your food and whatnot. So I had like a bunch of garlic and like the snake power bottles to heal up. So the fights that I had to do actually weren't that hard. And actually the fight that you're supposed to lose when you get to the red snakes, I actually won it. But obviously because of the game and the story, it's like, oh, you got beat by him because he used his moves and shit. Um, but I otherwise actually did pretty well in the game at that point. So, yeah, basically a large chunk of the DLC is doing Chawan Sign at different spots. And again, like I said, it's a little unclear as to when you're actually supposed to do the DLC, because it's one of those DLCs where do a little bit, it's one of those like do it while you play the main story kind of thing. The game goes into an actual like cutscene when you actually see Mr. Jong, so you have the option of saying no, but the game does give you the opportunity to actually start it relatively early. Like I said, I feel like you're supposed to spend at least a day or so in Yawu. When I looked up how to actually start it, the guy said Shenmue has to be in the hotel. I think you basically just have to spend like a day or so in there. So you do the Chawan sign and meet other people, and it turns out that Mr. Jong was kidnapped by a gang called the Blue Spiders. So now you're not only having to deal with the red snakes, but also the blue spiders. The blue spiders are mean people. That one I actually had to like go to this random woman and talk to her, because that's one thing I think they should have maybe done to make the DLC a little bit more interesting. Is have it to where when you talk to people you can ask them different things. With some characters you can. But I guess it would have been too expensive to like hire voice actors to voice all these lines, being like, "Sorry, I don't know who the Blue Spiders are." But I feel like that would have been more interesting because the game you're basically supposed to find someone in particular, and they're basically a group apparently hanging out at restaurants, apparently, from what I recall. And so you report this stuff to Mr. Wei, and you eventually find out where they are, and it turns out that it's the thugs from Bailu Village that you beat up, including the big guy. So it turns out they weren't even part of the Red Snakes at all. It turns out they were part of the Blue Spiders. So I think I remember them saying they were part of the Red Snakes. I don't recall. But yeah, they're part of the Blue Spiders. And then Mr. Wei shows up, and he's all like, "Thanks, Rio. Don't worry, I'll take it from here." And you're all like, "Okay." So you go off and you do your thing, and then you see another person in that spot. I think his name is Mr. Mai or Mr. Dai. And he's all like, "Sup? Mr. Wei has gotten kidnapped as well now. So, you need to do more Chawan signs." And you're all like, "Okay, dog." And so you do the Chawan signs. And you learn that the Blue Spiders do a lot of their hanging out and work at this one restaurant that they go to. And so you go over there, and you talk to like this waitress lady, and she's all like,